Signs and wonders, but mostly we do wonder. We just watched an interesting episode of the Divorce Club, and I know most of you are confused, but that's why we're here. Welcome to the Divorce Club Aftermath, and I'm your host, Coach David. In the studio with me is an interesting panel that's going to help us dissect the last episode and help us get to the bottom of what just happened between a prophet, Joshua, and his wife. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Divorce Club Aftermath, and I'm your host, Coach David. And in the studio with me, an amazing panel. On my right is an amazing lady. Anne, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, David.
You're welcome. Gabby, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me again.
All right, and next to me is Bishop Edin Malenga.
Thank you so much for having me, and can't wait to get into this.
It's going to be an interesting show.
Yeah.
But before we dissect the questions and get into the matter, I just want to, Anne, tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm Anne Holland. I am a feminist and a gender rights specialist. I ran a grassroots organization called Sister Sister, and we mostly work with women and victims of sexual and gender-based violence.
Okay, this is going to be very interesting. Gabby, tell us about yourself.
My name's Gabi. I am an artist of different trades. I act, I do stand-up comedy, and in another world, I studied the law.
Okay, that's very interesting. Bishop Edin Malenga.
Well, friends to the artists, they call me the Celebrity Bish. I pastor Liberty Christian Center where I'm presiding over, and like I keep saying, this matter is coming home when you begin to discuss the subject you're about to do.
It's going to be an interesting show today. You just watched the episode, did you? Did you have a look at last week's episode?
I'm angry.
You're angry?
Mm-hmm.
Bish, are you ready for today's episode?
I think I'm going to take a little bit of a lashing and beating on this set. But I'm good. I'm ready for this.
I'm very interested. I'm particularly interested in hearing Anne's thoughts, being a feminist. Let's get right into the questions, right? Most questions are coming from our viewers who've been watching the show, and they get to leave their comments and tell us their thoughts on what happens. We are particularly watching this story between a prophet, his spiritual son called Joshua, and his wife. But let's settle in on Joshua and the wife first. The story narrates about how physical abuse and alcoholism was part of the marriage. Just how far should a woman endure in marriage? You know, most marriages begin with for better or for worse. Just how worse should it get before a woman decides to leave?
The moment he raises his hand on you, leave. It's not worth it. He's going to do it again and again and again. And it's going to end in a choice whether you kill him or he kills you.
Thank you, Juan.
Hold on, guys. You can't be simplistic in answering that, because marriages have survived where there was some abuse. Now, I don't take abuse kindly. I'm tough with it, and I think that law must step in, protect people. And but some marriages have survived when...
How do you know they've survived?
I am a counselor.
Do you live in their marriages for you to know they've survived? Because as someone who works with victims of sexual and gender-based violence, I have seen that when people are abused, the first time they'll either keep it in. When they report, they feel ashamed when they go back that they stay with that abuse that keeps happening. They never really leave.
Listen,
yeah?
What I'm talking about literally is the fact that, and by the way, that is one of the grounds I step out, and even if I believe it's until death do us part, when there's abuse, that's one door I tell the woman you have the liberty to walk. But if I just left it there, I would be lying, because I have had couples come to me and there was bad abuse, battering and stuff like that. And I stepped in, counseled, and I'm talking couples that are around 20 years later. One of the outstanding couples I could give an example to that I'm thinking about right now. So I still believe we shouldn't be very simplistic, Coach David.
No, I
to think
understand.
the moment he raises up his hand
Before it even lands, while it's in the air, she should
you know
the thing, the thing about society is that you have to save yourself. No one is coming to save you. Honestly, if someone starts abusing you, you're not going to wait for the police, the legal system. The legal system can only help you to a certain extent, right? Mm-hmm. No one can come in your life and grab you out and say, you know what, I am Superman and I've come here to save you from this very abusive person. You have to save yourself. And in my experience, men don't change. Abusive people continue to stay abusive. And they hide under counseling, they hide under all these things. It's a serious issue. They have anger management issues. They have all these problems. Like that pastor was trying to put it as the spirit of, I don't know if it's anger or something. They create all these excuses for being abusive people. And why should women sacrifice themselves?
You can't say men don't change.
Okay.
She corrected herself. She said people. I didn't agree with her when she said men don't. Some people do not change.
So do you believe?
Thank you.
Do you believe that some people can change after an act of gender-based violence?
Yes, I personally do believe that some people can change. That?
I'm very skeptical.
Very skeptical. You've never had an experience. You never had somebody come back to you and say, "Oh, I was in an abusive relationship, but now we went for counseling, and now it's genuinely done."
No, most of the cases we're consistently just helping women who are in abusive relationships that never end.
Wow.
And men too.
Bish, I mean, how many cases have you had where a marriage or a relationship became abusive, but then later on changed after your counseling sessions?
A lot. In fact, my whole work is believing that people can change. Some situations are too tough and rough, and I know from where she's coming from, but I have seen many actually change, but I've still seen a section of people who never changed, and it resulted in divorce. And so I'm in agreement. You know, if this is a pattern, if nobody's working at changing anything,
then
you could
it's
walk.
best to walk away.
Yeah, but
do you have a limit? Like, how far should it get before she decides to walk? Because I think that's what Anne's problem is.
When it's life-threatening, you know, it becomes clear. I mean, when we're in counseling, it's an open matter. He does this and things like that. I think my life is threatened and stuff like that. And by the way, I know that mostly it's women who have been abused mostly, but I have handled where men have been abused. True. Like this woman bits.
And he should leave.
I love her honesty. But I have a question, Bish. The thing is, when it comes to abuse, your life can be threatened either from 1 or 10. So when as a counselor do you determine, or how do you determine? Because I mean, I could raise my hand at her with one punch to the face and she could out. I mean, I've heard people die like that. Like they got into a fight and then the guy just dropped dead. Like he had 2 seconds left and then you just poked his head and then he just dropped dead. So in a marriage, when can you determine when it's gotten to its limit?
I say life-threatening is a sign. If you're talking to a couple and they don't see first and foremost that the abuse is bad, it's already dangerous, you know. So right in the discussion, immediately there's no remorse, repentance, feeling bad about their actions.
Bishop, you use bad. What is good abuse?
Oh my!
That's a lovely one.
And stop punching me too early. All right. There's no good abuse.
But you said when you see the abuse is bad. So where is the good abuse?
No, not really the abuse being bad. I'm talking about when they come.
The intensity of the fight.
No, when they come for counseling, if they cannot even see that the abuse is bad. But the fact,
I see what you mean.
Okay.
Queen's language, I was lost myself. So, I mean, if the man involved, the woman involved, cannot even realize that it is wrong to raise your hand against a wife or a husband, then we have a problem there. If they defend the abuse,
then there's a problem.
There's a problem.
Okay. We just watched something in the show, and Joshua's reason for abusing his wife physically was because he was going through a mental breakdown. He lost his job, and money became a problem, and that sort of spiraled out into abuse. Does any reason that justify
There's no
that?
justifiable, unless the only justifiable reason is that you hit me and I'm defending myself. But there's no justifiable reason. We've lost jobs, haven't we? We've been broke,
Women
haven't
lose
we?
jobs and children.
We have mental issues. Where exactly? There's never a point where women go through all these things, right? And yet, do we stand up and bitch?
We are not allowed to take it out on the husband.
Okay.
There's no
Not
justifiable
usually.
reason.
There's no justification. So how then do wives and women come in when it comes to matters of mental health for men? Because we can clearly see the man was distraught. It's like he went through a very trying period. Could it be possible that there are things that she did to trigger him, his anger?
It's very possible. Like, you'll be triggered by a lot of things, but just because you've been triggered doesn't mean it's justifiable to harm someone. The people who've angered me, like seriously angered me, and my response is to call my girlfriends and scream and complain and yell, but it's never, I'm going to hit and beat up this person.
May I there? It's a little different when you're married, no offense.
Okay.
Even if you date someone for the longest time, you
Yeah.
marry them for 1 year,
Yeah.
it's different. So there are some details that no matter how long we go on over this, we cannot get from either people, the husband or the wife.
Yeah.
It could be the littlest thing. And usually, Bish, when we talk about marriage and divorce, people like to imagine it's adultery, it's getting hit, it's the big things. I'm telling you people, sometimes a pimple of your soul can start irritating you. The way someone chews, I'm being for real.
She was married. She can testify.
I was married. I'm like, what was I thinking? Why does she chew like this? I don't have a job and she's eating food like this. You see?
But that's not a justifiable reason.
I'm not talking justification.
Yeah.
I'm talking about reality. What's on the ground in a marriage.
Things that can cause things to spiral out of
there are details
control.
to a couple that even when they go to the pastor, they may not say it because it's embarrassing to bring out there. Maybe the issue is sexual. You see? And women, we have this habit of when we have fought, the whole body has fought. Don't touch us. We have that problem.
Is it okay? Now that falls into consent, because now, if I am not feeling it mentally, physically, and emotionally, I have a right to say no.
Yes, you have a right to say no, but
I think
you have
in the context
remember
that
you are a married person, male or female. Listen.
Now we're falling into rape.
No.
That's marital rape. Now that we're falling into.
Did I mention?
No,
did I say anybody
a
raped
husband
anyone?
is entitled to my body.
He is
just because
entitled.
No, listen.
Oh,
and
He is entitled.
Please, are you going to hold it? Can men then not be raped?
They can
What
be
if it's a
raped.
woman that's forcing a
Men
man to
have
have
the
sex
right
and
to
he
also
doesn't
say
feel
no.
like exactly? So
Yes.
don't go, I rep, and unfortunately, rep does not even represent men. Men do get raped.
Yes,
You
and they
see?
should fight for it.
It
In the same way women fight for it.
Exactly. So I talk people. I don't talk female. I don't talk male. I talk people and what's on
Christians
the ground.
listening, don't listen to them, all right? The Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, your
bitch is
body, your body is no longer yours, it's your husband's. And your husband's body is yours. So
And that's why
But
we
what
should
if
throw-
we didn't read the Bible?
now I'm telling them, now read that Bible, 1 Corinthians 7.
No.
So that's your
Who
body.
wrote that? Is that Paul the misogynist?
All right. Can we stick? I don't think. Okay, hold on. This is not the Bible aftermath show. This is the Divorce Club aftermath show. So let's get back to the show. So now,
She's firing live bullets.
No, it's so true when it comes to like bodies, and that's just the thing. That's how it even comes in to how men can be abusive in marriages and why we're having this situation because we don't see people as human beings. Just because I'm married to, yes, it's a partnership, but I do not own your body.
I agree.
And you do not own my body. If I say no to sex, it's no. Whether man, woman, it doesn't matter. I don't care what
Fail
the
it.
Bible
Your partner
says
wants it.
about it.
Fail it.
But it should be an agreement.
Okay.
It shouldn't be because I'm a man or because I'm a woman. It should be because we are people that are trying to love each other.
Yes.
Or we are both not feeling like this, or we are feeling like this.
But if we're not feeling it, it's okay. If one person is not feeling it, that's perfectly fine because you understand consent. If I understand consent, whether I'm your husband, I am your girlfriend, I'm your boyfriend, I'm a casual sexual partner. If I understand consent and you say no, no means no.
We are saying the same thing in a lot of ways.
Okay, so let's get back to the show. I love this conversation, but let's get back to the show. We're talking about mental health, and I'm glad that you brought it from both sides of both men and women. Though the particular video we're watching or dissecting has to do with Joshua, because he was particularly going through a mental breakdown.
Which brings me to the fact that you had asked the question we got lost in, losing the job. From the point of my theology, men get depressed to lose a job. You know, women could say, well, find another. Sometimes in a marriage situation, she would take it a little lighter, like, you know, don't worry, you find another job. But a guy losing a job is inherently so deep because if I stand on the fact that somewhere in Genesis chapter 2 and 3, God says to Adam, tend the garden. He got a job before a woman. He got work before woman. When he loses work, it throws him off. But I still want to add, that's no justification
to hit a woman.
So
what role can women play when it comes to men's... Let's talk about wives, all right? What role do you think a wife has to play when her man is going through a mental breakdown?
See, this is where I come in with my very radical thoughts, right?
Yeah.
The institution of marriage is built on a patriarchal system that ensures that man is at the top and woman is at the top. And there are a lot of flawed things in it. So we have our Bible narratives of what marriage should be, our traditional narratives of what marriage should be, right? Instead of creating our own narratives and healthy boundaries of what marriage should be, because honestly, I've never been married, right? And I'm not really crazy about the idea of marriage, but if I got into it, yes. But the thing is, my understanding is that marriage should be built on love, right? On understanding, right? And that's the most important thing. Okay. That's your ride or die. You're my partner, and I'm here to help you, protect you, love you, and ensure that we build and grow together, right?
Okay.
And so if you're having a mental breakdown, I can only do what's in my capacity, right? Which is like, what do you need from me? How can I help you? Let's get you therapy. Okay, you've lost your job. Let's start applying for jobs. I'll be sending you links. I'll be doing that. That's what a partner should be. And it's not just even about like a woman or man thing. That's what a partner should be. But sometimes also, life gets complicated. People are busy. And because of the system that we live in, that's the patriarchal system that says man is the provider, we live in this very toxic masculinity kind of system. Yes, very toxic. It's toxic to believe that
you don't expect to date a guy and he be the one paying your bills.
He be the one paying my bills. In a very perfect society, no. But I live in a society where women are paid less. We're not given the same opportunities. We're not given the same access to things. So, as my very feminist beliefs are that as long as we live in a system where it's not 50-50, men should be paying the bills.
Oh my!
She has a very interesting argument. Gabby, what are your thoughts?
Okay, speaking as
a woman's
having
role.
been a wife,
Yeah.
That did happen. I don't know if you people remember the global crunch. Yeah. And my husband lost his job. On this one, I wish I could literally tag him because I did not marry him because he had a job. I married him because I wanted to be with him. And there was a period of time that I was working and my husband was not. But you could not tell by our appearance who was working and who wasn't. So that's a very personal decision between the two of you. We cannot speak for everyone. A wife decides how much she's going to respect and love her husband. And it does not have to be influenced by the pastor or the bashibukombe. They can guide you, but between you and your spouse, how do you relate? On that one, I cannot answer for everyone. But for me, the headmanship of a man does not come from his resources, from his having a job or not. If you've resolved to love and respect your partner, you do it anyway. It's the same thing as in, or your wife doesn't put on a weave, but you still love her. There's a standard out there. So that's a very personal decision.
Wow. That's very, very interesting. Bish?
She's interesting to be on this particular set.
No, it's good. We have to get her views, especially for the fact that she's single.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of viewers out there, young ladies.
And by the way, for the record, headship has nothing to do with boss and slave. In fact,
Did you hear that?
in fact,
Yes, coming from a preacher who's been reading the Bible.
the right. While I don't believe in feminism as it's been described, I first met it in detail when I was probably doing my master's degree in peace and conflict, and we had to do some paper on feminism. I don't believe in the way it's packaged. I believe that man and woman are equal.
Thank you.
In fact, in the narrative of Genesis, God created them man and woman, and he actually called them both Adam. It is man that called Eve. God, when he created them equal.
Human beings.
So the feminism, which literally tries to uproot everything and make sometimes woman even superior to the man.
That clearly means you don't understand feminism, and I don't know what you've been reading, so maybe you should actually focus on... No, the problem is that you people pick selective readings. You want to nitpick, and the weirdest part about it when you talk about packaging is that the funniest thing is that when it comes to Black liberation, you don't understand packaging. You accept radicalism. You accept the Nelson Mandelas, the MLKs, the Malcolm X and whatnot. But then when it comes to women, because you come from a patriarchal society where you believe women should be lower than you, we should suddenly be more seductive in how we ask for equal rights. Because you enjoy the benefits of the patriarchy. Me who doesn't enjoy them, I must now lower myself to make you find my equality better. And that's very insulting, really.
Have you found yourself lowering yourself to a man?
No, I do not prescribe to that. But we live in a society where women do. And even me doing that, I get to face the consequences every day. Right now in this society, even in this room that we are in right now, we go outside. The system that we live in is a system that doesn't respect women, that doesn't treat women equally. We can talk every day about how, we're all equal. And yet every day in the little things that we do, we treat women like they're not equal beings.
Wow, you've been watching the Divorce Club Aftermath. Should the church interfere in people's marriages? Should the church be accountable to the state? What role should the church play in today's society when it comes to relationships and marriages? Thank you for tuning in, and do join us again next time.